Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Hello. Thank you for watching On the Case. I'm Chinta Strausberg, producer and host of On the Case, and I have a very special guest today. Well, I have attorney David Neely. You know about him for a long, long time, and Reverend Dr. Marshall Hatch has just entered the studio. Thank you so much. He is with the Rainbow Push Coalition. And we're talking about a lot of things. Reverend Hatch has a 7:30. He's got to be at a dinner, so I don't know if he's on or not yet, but anyway, he's going to come in shortly, and he wants to hear what David Neely has to say, actually, and to talk about the UN taking an historic vote, and that vote was 123 in favor of reparations, 3 were against, and 52 countries voted against it. And guess what? Those 52 countries were participants in slavery. So of course they're not going to approve this. The question is, what good is this if we can't get it done? We're certainly not going to get it done under this administration. David Neely, attorney David Neely, thank you for being on the case. I can't hear you. David Neely. All right. Marshall Hatch, Dr. Marshall Hatch, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How you doing, Miss Chinta Strausberg?
Okay. Cinnabella, can you bring in David Neely too? David, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. So we have 2 great men on the case. Reverend Dr. Marshall Hatch. I forget your title. You have so many.
Yes, senior pastor, New Mount Pilgrim Church, and also I've been the National Director of Religious Affairs for the Rainbow Push Coalition.
All right, and attorney David Neely. Since you're on your way to dinner, let's talk about the UN voting in favor of reparations. 103 in favor, 3 against, but 52 countries, and all of them were participants in slavery, abstained. How do you feel about that? And what good is the vote if we can't get it done?
Well, this is an important, morally for the world, really. It was brought to the UN by Ghana, to the United Nations by Ghana, which, of course, many of us in the Americas originated from West Africa, those of us in the African diaspora in North America and South America. So, this has been a long time coming, but it is very revealing that, the United States and Israel and Argentina voted against it. And then, of course, the 52 countries that abstained, many of them, as you mentioned, they were a part of the transatlantic slave trade. And so this is not just a one round, but it is a continual fight that we're going to be having for quite some time. And I think an important round was won yesterday, even though, it doesn't have teeth, but yet it makes a statement to the world that the transatlantic slave trade has been every bit of an ongoing Holocaust for African people across the planet.
And it still is a Holocaust for us, right?
Absolutely. The ongoing effects of it, the resolution, and especially the Ghanaian official talked about structural racism, the racism that's been baked into these societies where Africans find ourselves. And when we look at the underdevelopment of the African continent itself and the people who are on the continent, the ongoing effects of the 4 centuries of your youth, your talent, children being certainly kidnapped and then stolen away for 4 centuries. Of course, the continent is also reeling from the effects of this crime against humanity. And so I think that even though it seems like it was symbolic it is a very important symbol on what was passed on yesterday.
All right, Attorney Neely, what are your thoughts on the passage of this resolution, reparations resolution?
Well, I think that it's a good thing that we continue to remind the world about the vestiges of slavery and what has been done to us. But when we look around, we can actually see those vestiges, especially in our young people. The great grandchildren of slaves that were stolen from around this world. Actually, they were stolen from the Western Hemisphere, sent to Europe, then sent to Africa, and then sent back to America as slaves. So our children today, they don't know who they are. They're killing each other. They're selling drugs. They don't care about how they look, how they appear to the world, how they appear to each other. These are all vestiges of slavery, vestiges of shackles of the mind. So those are the things that we have to overcome. And the UN cannot do that for us. We have to do that for ourselves. Reparation means more than money. It means freeing our minds and our souls from the shackles of slavery, the shackles of repression, the shackles of all the things that have kept us down over the years.
Like the teen takeovers, how do you feel about that?
You
You
say
can't
the
blame that on reparations.
you say the teen takeover?
Yeah,
Is that what they call it now?
that's what they call it, teen takeovers.
Okay, the teens, they don't know what they're doing to each
Mhm.
other. They don't know what they're doing to our history.
Yes.
Um, and they're so disrespectful today. And it seems like many of the teens that are out here are carrying weapons. But let me just say this: there are a lot of young people who are doing good, who have freed their minds, and there are a lot of parents who are helping their children to free their minds. But the parents today, they have to participate in that. We cannot allow our children to continue to sell drugs to so we can pay our rent, so we can buy our food. We cannot continue to let our children participate in gang activities so we can do whatever we want to do so they can bring money home to us. So I blame it on the parents. I blame it on the grandparents. So we have to take responsibility. We can look at some countries. Um, they're not doing the same things that we're doing
Yeah,
here in America, even though they have experienced the same type of um, brutality that we experience here in America. We have to take some responsibility as well.
that's right. And the problem too is that we have gang families. I learned a few months ago. I didn't know that there were mothers and fathers teaching their children to be gangbangers. How do you
Absolutely. Not only teaching their children to be gangbangers, teaching their children how to sell drugs, talking to their children about harming other children. We really have to free our mind. And now the question is, how do we do that? How
right?
do we take that responsibility when we're so disrespected? I mean, there's so many adults who are afraid to approach teens because they think that those same teens that they approach are going to turn on them.
Shoot them.
So, well, that's what I mean by turn on them.
Okay.
So, but we have to take that. We have to get out here and we have to talk to these people. We have to get into the schools. We have to go into, well, we used to go into the pool halls. There are no pool halls anymore. So they're on the corners. They're in front of the stores. They hang out in the parks. They hang out in vestibules and buildings and so forth. So and many of them don't read. But we have to come up with a plan on how we can actually communicate with our young people.
Absolutely. Dr. Hatch, what are your thoughts on this? And what is Rainbow Push going to do about it?
Yeah, one of my hats also is, as the senior pastor of Mount Pilgrim Church, we're doing $50 million worth of community development now in something we call Sankofa Wellness Village, which is, one of the premier community development projects in the city now. But it also encompasses something we call the Ma'afa Redemption Project that is now in going into its 8th year. And in this case, we've taken young men off of the streets, off of the corners. In our church itself, we have an old Catholic building, and we replaced some of the stained glass windows. One of them is the largest depiction of the transatlantic slave ship icon in the world is our window. The old Brook slave ship with the packing of the slaves, that is a stained glass window, and we've kind of made it vertical. It's as if Christ is ascending with the bodies of those who were captured. And so we have used that symbol to help to teach young people in our community. And I can tell you, just on a micro level, it has been very effective. As Dr. Neely has said, there's something very powerful about learning your identity, learning your history, learning the greatness of your people. Not only what happened to us, but what we endured, and even what we have thrived with in spite of as a people. And so we found that teaching this kind of history, teaching, of course, spiritual enrichment principles, we found, I would say, some incredible success working with young people right out of the community who found themselves in some of the decadent parts of the culture, but really to demonstrate to them that street culture is not our culture at all, but our culture is one of excellence. When people came even out of the experience of enslavement, they were strivers to improve upon themselves and to lift themselves. And so that really is what it means to be African American, is what we overcome and thriving in spite of.
Now
Dr.
that's
Hatch, Dr. Hatch, my auntie was Daisy Bates, and she taught me a lot. I met Reverend Jackson when I was in high school after Martin Luther King was assassinated, and we were getting ready to burn down the city until we met with Reverend Jackson, and then I became a part of Operation Breadbasket, and the people that I was exposed to, I wanted to be a lawyer after that, so then I went to law school. But I think one thing that Operation Push can do now, and what you have to do, we have to challenge the music industry, because the music industry has the minds of our children. I have a very talented son. We were in the music industry. I had to pull him out because of the decadence. And some of the people that they're talking to now, God kept me away from those people because they were really bad people. But Operation Push has to challenge the music industry. We have to do something about the music that our children are listening to, because that music is influencing their minds, it's influencing their behavior.
That's true. But now, years ago, Rainbow Push did challenge the music industry along with Minister Farrakhan. I went to a meeting where Minister Farrakhan met with a number of black rappers, and and they told him that they had to do this. They had to sing those lyrics, otherwise they couldn't get their records produced. So how do you,
Absolutely. Not only do they have to they have to do other things too. And
like
that's where I
what?
pulled my son. They didn't want to deal with us because my son was very young then. He was 14 and I was a lawyer. So they didn't want to deal with a black kid who had a lawyer as a dad. So they didn't
Mm-hmm.
like our music. They said our music was too clean. But they have these children out here and they want to get them young out of high school, and they have them doing all kinds of things,
Like
immoral
what?
things.
Like what? Like what?
Do you really want me to be explicit? Let's just say this.
Yes, I do.
Um, my son was he was first casted for the show Empire.
Oh, okay.
So on our way to rehearsal, the first rehearsal, I get a call from the director who tells me to make sure that my son is comfortable being in the bed kissing a man. And I stopped the car right then and I said
Okay.
no. I looked at him. We just said no. We tried to get the other part because the original part was not a part of a gay man. So we tried to get the other part, but I'm glad he didn't want to give that to us. But I'm glad I didn't, because that young man, after he got the part, he was given to Epstein, and next thing we know that he's in bed with Diddy, and now his mind is all messed up. Even though he has a lawsuit against Diddy, his mind is all messed up. So I'm just happy that that happened to us the way that it did. But there's the question is, do I want to be a millionaire or do I want to subject my son to the immoral things that they wanted him to do. And we said no. We said no. We'd rather work every day for our money than to get in bed with another man, which is immoral.
That is outrageous that they would even ask your son to do that.
No, they ask kids every day to do that, and many of them do it. They do it for the fame. They do it for the money. They do it, and they influence other kids to do things. They influence other kids with their music. So you can talk to the rappers all you want to. You can talk to the singers, but it's the people behind them. It's the people that sit in these smoke-filled rooms who are not African American who make these decisions.
Dr. Hatch, how?
No, Doctor. Yeah. No, Dr. Neely he's just exactly right. I mean, that whole industry is so complicit in the decadence that we're seeing on our streets. And one of the values, I mean, I just preached a sermon Sunday about Jesus in the being led of the Spirit in the wilderness. And of course, that last temptation in the Matthew gospel, Satan, the devil takes him up to the pinnacle and shows him all of the kingdoms of the world and the glory thereof. And all of this I will give you if you bow down and worship me. And I think that, of course, I did some illustrations with it, but of course, the congregation clearly understood that this is the bargain of the world. If you give up your principles, if you give up your values, what the world promises, really what it can't deliver. But I think the point is that all of us must have that old-fashioned African American conviction that, I am not for sale, that there's some things I won't do for money, that I have convictions, and that I have principles, that I got morals, that I have standards, that I have a value in which I see myself, and I certainly can't sell my soul. But I think Dr. Neely just put his finger right on it, that this is what has created this decadent street culture, this bargain with the world, that the only thing that matters is securing the bag. And I think our kids have to be taught, that is always been the deal with the devil. What does it profit if you gain the whole world and lose yourself?
But let's show them who the devil are. We have to call out the people like directors, like Lee Daniels, like the fella down there in Atlanta that BET just brought out. What's his name? Who has really influenced America by playing the roles of transvestites in his movies. His name slips my mind, but his name, I think, is Tyler Perry. So people like that, we got to call them out. We have to call them out, and we have to let our children know who they are, because these people are influencing America. They are influencing our kids.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a break and come back and talk more about this is a horrible, horrible thing they're doing to our children. We'll be back with more right after this.
Welcome to Master Force with Mushim Suit. Join us each week on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central, live. Welcome to Master Force with Mushim Suit. Join us each week on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central, live on Facebook and YouTube on the Female Solution page, as we dive into powerful topics designed to assist you in mastering your life force. Our conversations feature a diverse lineup of experts, all dedicated to your growth. Tune in weekly to discover new ways to elevate your spirit and raise your vibration. And remember, we are ascending.
All right, we're back. I'm Chinta Strausberg, producer and host of On the Case. My guest is attorney David. Okay, we're back. I'm Chinta Strausberg, producer and host of On the Case. My guest is Reverend Dr. Marshall Hatch and attorney David Neely, talking about the UN passing a reparations bill, a resolution rather, calling for reparations. But Reverend Neely has really hit the nail the nail of this problem. Uh, Marshall Hatch, Dr. Hatch, what can Rainbow Push do to start this going? Because you're going to be going up against powerful men and billionaires too. How do you fight something like that?
Well, we always, one of the things that we have always had a strong church base, which of course deals with values and deals with uh, the person not selling out, selling the community out, and so I think that that's going to be a part of Push's uh, its value system under the leadership of the new CEO and president, Brother Youssef Jackson. And so I think he would be a good guest to have on at some point to, to share with you what the Push organization is going to do, just to try to recapture the moral high ground for our community.
All right. And Attorney David Neely, what are your suggestions?
Well, I just got back. I got cut off, so I didn't hear the question.
I'm sorry. What are your suggestions about dealing with the children and the music industry?
Well, I think we have to go to the source. The source is not the children, not the entertainers. They want to get paid. We have to go to the people who are calling the shots, and they are not African American. Trust me. They're usually, most of them are Jewish.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. Those are the ones who sit behind. They're the shot callers. They're the ones who are making all the decisions. They're the ones. Look here. These radio stations they make you think that they'll play anybody's music, but they don't. They are told what music to play, and it comes down from the top. So we have to understand that it comes from the top, and so therefore we have to go to the top. I think Operation Push is in a great position to tackle those giants.
Okay. Now, I know that Reverend Hatch is almost at his destination, but you have a problem that he wants to hear about too. There is a conglomeration of businesses on the west side of Chicago discriminating against Black people. Can you explain?
Yeah, there's two organizations. It's called the Industrial Council of Near West Chicago and Allies for Community Business, and they do business with the city of Chicago. Um, this organization is commonly known as the Hatchery, um, and they're supposed to provide opportunities to minority entrepreneurs on the near west side of Chicago to start restaurants, to learn how to be business people in that industry. However, when I looked into the situation, I found that for example, they may lure people into the industry, making them think that all you need is $500 to start. However, they go up on the rent every month. The $500 is only for space. You have to rent everything from a stove to a pot. So you end up paying, $3,700 in rent, over $4,000 in rent. And some white organizations, they don't charge at all. So the clients that I represent, they refer to their children as monkeys. They refer to Black women as colored people. I have just a litany of discriminatory acts that they've been engaged in. So we have filed a lawsuit in federal court. We're asking for $10 million in actual damages and $10 million in punitive damages. And we're asking the court to issue an order to prevent them from continuing to discriminate against people of color.
This is 2026 and this is still going on, and in Chicago too?
This is 2026 and this is still going on in Chicago. They have a board of directors with no minority representation. And if you complain about the discriminatory conduct, they get rid of you right away. So we have a host of minority owned businesses that they have actually eliminated, and they kick them out of the hatchery. They prevent them from coming back into the hatchery. And these are people who have spent their hard-earned money to engage in a business opportunity, but they have been discriminated against, these people. And I'll give you a good example. Organizations donate different types of things like stoves and tables and chairs to this organization, and they turn around and rent them out to the people that they're supposed to be helping. So, for example, a $100 table that's donated to them, they may rent out for $100 a month. So that's $1,200 a year that they're making on a $100 table. And they rent every tool, every utensil out to their residents.
So where is this located, the trust?
Now, the top of my head, you're asking me for their address.
Or about?
They're located somewhere on the west side of Chicago. It's the Industrial Council of Near West Chicago, and it's Allies for Community Business. And they do business with the city of Chicago. The city of Chicago provides them grant money. They get millions of dollars in grant money from organizations all over. And they use this money to help and do business with white organizations, white-owned organizations, from McDonald's to Burger King's on down. But at the same time, they discriminate against minority organizations.
And I understand too that they have different salaries if you're black and white there. And do they hire black people?
Well, many of the black people that they've hired over the past who spoke out against discrimination, they have fired them. Even the security guards, they don't hire black security guards anymore. They hire white security guards or Latino security guards, but not black security guards. So they may have one or two black employees that they made deals with. But other than that, they discriminate against black employees, and many of them have been fired.
And I understand too that some of them who are supposed to be part of this hatchery, they won't let them in sometimes. Is that true?
Once you get on their bad side and you make a complaint about discrimination, they will bar you from that organization. They don't want you to come in that organization. My clients, they wanted to develop programs to bring African Americans into the hatchery, but they decided that they did not want that. They don't want black people in the hatchery. They don't even want black children in there. But they allow white children. They allow their white residents, to bring their children into the hatchery, but black residents, they don't allow to bring. You can't bring your children into the hatchery.
Dr. Hatch, how do you feel about this? This is in your area.
Turn it off.
Well, I think that as Dr. Neely has mentioned, a court of law would be the best place to do the kind of fact fighting and also to get the remedy to the things that he's described. So I think that he's offering a good direction and a good path for the people that he is representing now that have had these experiences.
Yeah, we're suing under the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which prohibits discrimination in leasing. So that's the act that we're going under, Section 1982, and we're asking for punitive damages. What they would like to happen right now is to keep this secret. So they filed motions in the federal court to basically to keep this under seal. But this is something that should be known. I think even the mayor of the city of Chicago, which, he gives grants to this organization, he should know about what's happening. He should know about what they're doing to minority-owned businesses. And the reason that they exist, their charter is to help minority-owned businesses, but that is not what they're doing.
So they sound like they're Trumpers with the anti-DEI or something, huh?
Well, I don't know what they are. I just know that they're people who are just discriminating against people of color.
So
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
the grants, are they the CDBG grants? Are you talking about?
They get all types of grants and
What about
donations.
federal money? Do they have federal money?
I don't think that they get federal money. They get grants from organizations. Um, the main organizations, they give out a lot of grant money. They provide grant money to this organization too, and I know that the city of Chicago provides them with grant money.
Dr. Hatch, Reverend Jackson is his former media specialist for 6.5 years. I know what he would do. He would call a meeting, and the last thing they would do is picket if they didn't come to the table. What can Push do to rectify this?
Again, you'd have to talk directly to Yusef Jackson
Okay.
to speak for the Push organization, of which he is now, giving leadership, and we support his leadership. He'd give direction on that.
All right. So are you going to also bring in the Leaders Network because it's on the west side?
Yeah, I mean, we'd be happy to take a look at what has been experienced there by people, and so that we can figure out the best way to hold these organizations accountable for the work that they're doing in the community.
Yeah, at least 45 Black-owned businesses have been discharged from the hatchery because they complained about discrimination. Over 45 businesses, 45 minority-owned businesses have been released from the hatchery, has been discriminated against the hatchery since just because they complain about discrimination, and a whole host of employees have been fired from the hatchery because they complained about discrimination.
That is absolutely outrageous. So have you talked to the principals there?
You're talking to me? Have I talked to them?
Yes.
I have sued them. We have
I
a
know.
lawsuit.
I know, but
they're
have you
represented
actually?
they're represented by lawyers. So we're in the process of active litigation. That's what I do. I sue people. So we're in the process of active litigation. There's no talking right now. The motions being filed, and then the judge has to make decisions on various motions, and we continue to go forward. And we're looking forward to having a jury trial.
Okay. Dr. Hatch, I'm going to, if Dr. Neely says it's okay, I can forward you the
Yeah,
lawsuit.
absolutely. We'd be glad to take a look at it. And I'm going to duck out now, but I certainly appreciate it, being a part of this dialogue. I want to thank you, Ms. Strausberg, for all you do, and thank you, Dr. Neely.
Absolutely, Dr. Hatch.
Thank you for being our guest.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Right. Okay, so what's the next step in this, Dr. Neely?
Well, in any type of litigation, once a complaint is filed, the other side is going to file a motion to dismiss. We take the position that their motions that have been filed are frivolous. We filed our responses. They filed their replies, and now the federal court has to make a decision. Once the federal court makes a decision, then we'll go into the process of discovery. Discovery is when you ask questions to the other side. That's called, you use process that are called interrogatories, requests for documents, and then we go into the depositions. Depositions is when you summon someone to a particular location. You have a court reporter there, and you ask questions, and that is memorialized in documents that can be used later on down the line, either for motions for summary judgment or at trial. So people cannot continue to change their stories.
So have any of the Black businessmen gone out of business because of this?
Absolutely, my clients went out of business because of this. That's why we're suing, and they really tried to cooperate with the hatchery, but at every turn, the hatchery did something to cause them to lose money, and they lost a lot of money as a result of this. And so did a lot of other people who were minority entrepreneurs and who were not able to continue their business after they left the hatchery. Luckily, my clients have been able to continue their business of serving food, preparing food for the public, um, opening up restaurants and so forth. But many minority-owned businesses have not been able to do that
because they couldn't recoup the loss.
Well, usually after you deal with the hatchery, you're going to be in debt.
Yeah.
Because number one, you're not going to know that you're going to have all these expenses. They have a lot of hidden fees. You're not going to know that they're going to go up on their rent every 6 months. They go up on their rent. So you start off thinking that you're paying $500 a month, and you end up paying $3,700 a month or more. And the thing about it, they're white businesses that they don't charge anything. They don't charge anything. And we even have information where the CEO was actually taking money under the table from white businesses and some affluent businesses and sticking it in his pocket. After they did an audit, he conveniently resigned from the organization. But theft is theft. And that is alleged in the complaint. Actually, this is the largest complaint I've ever filed. I mean, this complaint is 45 pages, and it is very meticulous in terms of identifying all the discriminatory conduct of this organization.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more of On the Case right after this.
You are soaring flight of imagination, saturated in the movable. Removable, no excuses. You're breaking all the rules. You are brew, composed in shea butter, peppermint and honey black soap. Nas lifeline inscribed in palm, unconventional, standing 20 feet tall. You are 1969 in the syncopated. Improvisation to the metronome. You chasse too. You allow your voice to ripen before time signatures expire in measures. You origami chords. You are where 30 shakes hands with adolescents realizing you just hit puberty. Watch as red clay seeps through pores building pyramids past prime. You are prime at 44. All brass, double bass, 2 drummers, 3 electric pianos, and percussionists all saying forget it at once.
Okay, we're back. I'm Chinta Strausberg, producer of On the Case. My guest is attorney David Neely, who has sued the hatchery, and that's located on the west side. Is that in the Black community in the west side?
I don't know the address off the top of my head where they're actually located, but the people that they're supposed to serve are on the near west side of Chicago.
Right.
But they serve.
Go ahead.
They serve people all over, and they are doing business with a lot of white-owned organizations, which we do list in our complaint.
Do you know the alderman of where that's located? Which one?
Again, I don't know the alderman. I know Danny Davis was involved with the hatchery at one point. I don't think Danny Davis knows what's going on with them either.
He will now. He definitely will now. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of politicians, they get involved in giving out awards and accolades to organizations, and then they go about their business and they don't really know what these organizations are doing to real people. A lot of minorities, things happen to them in their employment and they don't follow up on it. So a lot of these Black employees that were fired, they never went to the EEOC. They never filed claims with the EEOC. They just went about their business, went about their lives when they probably should have taken legal action.
So why you take my money and put me in debt? Why wouldn't they complain?
Well, that happens to us a lot. We don't utilize the things that are here for us. Like if you are in employment and you think your employer has discriminated against you because of your race, your sex, your religion, then you should file a complaint with the Illinois Department of Human Rights or the EEOC to see where that will take you. If you don't follow your rights, you have 90 days. And if you don't file anything within 90 days, then you lose your rights. So a lot of people a year later may say, man, I should have filed a lawsuit. I should have filed a complaint. Well, it's too late There's a statute of limitation. And these organizations are predatory, predatory employers, predatory so-called not-for-profit organizations. They prey on the weak. They prey on people who they believe don't have the knowledge and expertise to complain when they are dealing with something that is really outrageous.
So, okay, so what would you want the mayor to do?
I
Since
would
the
like the, I
mayor
think
is
the
giving
mayor,
them money.
the city of Chicago, they should investigate. And if they find that the things that we're alleging in our complaint are true, then this organization needs to be reformed. It has to be reformed. The organization should stick to its charter. They're supposed to be there to help minority-owned businesses. Also, the board of directors is predominantly white. There's not one African American on the board of directors. There needs to be African Americans on the board of directors. There needs to be African American employees who work there, who see what's going on, and there should be some kind of mechanism where the mayor should be notified when something is going wrong with these organizations. And something is inherently wrong with this organization.
Oh, it sounds like it to me. So when you say minority now, that includes white women. So maybe they're using that as a way to keep blacks out.
Well, no, minority is minority. I mean, that's defined by federal law. If you belong to the African American race, the Latino race, American Indians, women, anybody with immutable traits, meaning that those are traits that you cannot change. You're black, and that's what people see. If you're a woman, you're a woman, and that's what people see. Immutable characteristics, and that has been defined by federal law.
Absolutely, but when it comes to those grants and programs like that, white women have benefited the most. And
Absolutely,
which is why I don't understand Trump doesn't want like DEA, because he's really hurting white women.
well, we used to call it affirmative action.
Yep.
Now, affirmative action was targeted expressly to help African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Then we included Asians and Hispanics, and then they turned it into something else. What is it? Is it DIY or something like that?
DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
There you go. Now, mostly white women benefited from that.
Yes.
And that's why, they voted for Trump. And when Trump said he was going to get rid of that, they were yay, yay, yay. And when I went to college, I played football with a lot of people who are farmers now in the state of Iowa. And they thought that was going to be a good thing to get rid of those programs. But they didn't realize that they were benefiting from those programs.
Right.
Majority of white people were benefiting from those programs. So once Trump got in office, when he started doing away with those things, and then he hired the Nazi to help him do those things. Then
you mean Stephen Miller?
Huh?
You mean Stephen Miller?
No.
Oh.
I'm talking about the billionaire.
Musk.
Yeah, who has a rocket ship, probably has a rocket ship in his basement ready to launch if something happens in this world or something goes wrong.
No, but, he's busy making robots to replace you.
Well, absolutely. That's another thing. That is our doom. If we allow this to continue, and I'm not sure if that quote we can stop it, I think that's the doom for mankind. That's the doom for civilization. And
even the first lady is pushing the robots too. And I'm thinking about doing a story on that because it's pretty scary. They want to get rid of workers, American workers. And what are we supposed to do?
Not they want to, they are. Some of the big organizations, Amazon, they're laying off thousands and thousands of workers, and they're replacing them with robots. Now, robots are one thing, but the race for AI, that's the killer right there. Because once they get to that AI that is all knowing, then we're in trouble. We're in a lot of trouble, and I don't see any stopping to that. Technology, if you look at the history of mankind, we've been here before, where we got to a point where technology took over, and that was the destruction of that particular species. And we're coming to that again, where technology has continued to grow. AI, there's a race for AI, artificial intelligence, where it will become one. And then once it becomes one, it becomes all knowing. There's no control. They can't control it now. If you, they're programs that if you try to turn it off, they will hide into the matrix and they'll turn itself back on. There's evidence that some of these programs, these AI programs, have actually gone after the people who have tried to replace them. So it's self-preservation. When you become knowing, you want to preserve yourself, and they're going to fight back. And that's what's happening now. AI is extremely dangerous.
It certainly is. We're going to take our last break. We'll be back with more on the case and attorney David Neely right after this.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms.
All right, we're back. I'm Chinta Strausberg, producer and host of On the Case, and my special guest is attorney David Neely. Mr. Neely, thank you so much for being on the case. And
Absolutely.
you certainly are, especially with this AI and your other story there, the lawsuit. It's just amazing that we're faced with so many problems, and with the AI, you're talking about unemployment of millions of Americans. So what can we do to pause that? Senator Simon said he wanted us to pause it.
Well, it's our fault. Look here, if food prices are too high, if eggs are too high, then stop buying eggs. They'll go down. If a product is too high, then stop buying it. Then it's going to go down. If cars are too high, then stop buying cars. It's going to go down. So that's what we have to understand as consumers, that we really control things. Things don't control us. But I don't know. I think people have to be educated. They have to understand that you don't spend your money where you're not wanted. And, you know, I was taught that a long time ago. My auntie Daisy Bates taught me that. Reverend Jackson taught me that. Reverend Reddick taught me that. And I can go down the line. We were taught that as young people. Our young people have to know now, if people are not going to treat you right, then they're not going to teach you right. And we have to take some things into our hands. Look, we can make prices go down if we stop buying those things.
Well, there's one thing we can't do, and that is not to boycott gas. How do you feel about the price of gas going up because of what Trump has done? He's started a war that's not our war, and now it's out of hand.
Yeah, we are in an unholy. I'm not going to say we. Um, the United States is in an unholy war. Um, they got involved in something that has been going on for thousands and thousands of years. It's biblical. Trump has inserted himself in there like he has been reincarnated, like he comes from the ancient world, and maybe he does. And he has joined Israel in an unholy situation, and he is the king of propaganda. He will tell you he's getting gifts and he's having meetings and talks with people, and he's not. So
Yeah.
you can't believe a word that he said. He's one of the most amusing people that I've ever heard. But all I can say is that we have to control our pockets. And in terms of gas, I went to a gas station last week. The gas station told me they were out of gas. We have to
No.
be able to take our children to work. We have to be able to go to work ourselves. And so people do need gas. I guess we have to start carpooling more, taking public transportation. I don't know. Public transportation is pretty dangerous. But we have to do something. So when it comes down to gas, I think boycotting, that's not gonna drive gas prices down.
No.
Because
No.
the supply is very low. But when it comes to
Absolutely.
certain foods and products, yeah, we can control that.
Okay. And so I paid $4.89 a gallon. What do you pay for gas?
Um, I put $30 in my car. I don't care what the gas prices are. It can be $10 a gallon, it can be $4 a gallon. I'm putting $30 a gallon, $30 in my car, and I'm gonna see how far it's gonna take me.
Okay.
And that's
And
how
so
I operate.
I understand. And so also the Trump has said he wants the congressmen to stay in session through the Holy Week, and that he wants them to pass the ID voter bill. Are you familiar with that bill?
Yeah, I
And he
am.
said, "Do it for Jesus." He said, "Do it for Jesus." And Trump has said publicly he's not a Christian. I don't understand that.
Well, we call these vestiges of slavery. These are vestiges, barriers that are put in place to prevent African Americans and women from voting. My auntie Daisy Bates, she traveled around the world. She stood in front of Central um, High School. She opposed Governor Farbus. She fought for the right to vote. And we have to fight for that right to vote too. Look here, Trump just voted by mail. He voted by mail, but then he wants to turn around and prevent you from voting by mail. That's so hypocritical.
Well,
He
no,
may
that's
not
because of
be.
what happened. That's what happened. He's angry about Fulton County in Georgia, which is mostly black. That's where he lost, and he couldn't. He tried to steal 11,000 votes, and it didn't work. That's
Well,
why he's a convicted felon.
It's always been my opinion that first election that he says that the Democrats stolen. I think that the Republicans, they rigged that election. It's almost like you are involved in a situation where you are cheating, but you still lose. And that's why he was so angry. He cheated,
Yes.
but he still lost. So apparently somebody found out that he was cheating, and they did a rope-a-dope on him. So he made sure that wasn't going to happen this time. But now they're threatening to take ice and have ice surrounding certain polls in certain states.
Yes, blue states.
Blue states.
And how do you
And,
feel about his being? How do you feel about his being president of the red states and punishing the blue states?
well, you know something. If white people got any sense, because they are really hurting. They are really hurting. That's why they're out here demonstrating, and they're angry at us because we're not out there demonstrating. We don't have anything to demonstrate for right now. Look here. You're the ones who decided that doing away with certain programs is going to hurt African Americans, and you see that it's hurting you. So now you're out there in the thousands demonstrating, and you want us to come out there? No. We're going to stay at home. We're going to sit this one out. because the minute we get out there, they're going to start killing us, and we're going to fight back. And next thing you know, he's going to want to declare martial law. We're smarter than that. So those white people that voted for Trump, look here, that lost their federal jobs, that's your fault. You need to get out there. You need to continue to demonstrate. And look here, he's not going to get those Republican votes. He knows he's not going to get those Republican votes. They're going to turn against him. And all those people, they're going to lose the election. Now, he may have a way to run for president again. Maybe he wants to be vice president on the next election. And then whoever gets elected president, if it's a Republican, will conveniently die or something, and then he becomes the president again. I don't know how he plans that, but if he's on a ticket, then you shouldn't vote for it. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. If you want this country to be what you think it is, then don't vote for Trump or anything that's related to Trump. Otherwise, we're going back to the ancient times where thousands of people died on one day, where rich people went to sleep at night and they woke up the next day and they were slaves. If you want to be in that situation where you think you're well-to-do, look here, you're going to end up being a slave just like everybody else.
Well, okay, so but about the protests, there are gonna be a whole bunch of protests all over America, including in Chicago with Representative Danny Davis and LaShawn Ford, who, as you know, won the primary. So that's going to happen from 11 to 2 o'clock on the west side. So there, and the No King Day, they do include blacks, but it's mostly whites.
Look here, we need to get our young people out to vote. All you young people call yourself gangbanging. All you young people out here who think you're cool, wearing the latest clothes and everything, and smoking weed and drinking and doing all that other kind of stuff. Look here, you need to register to vote, and you need to get out and vote. We used to go into the pool halls and on Skid Row and get people to stand up and vote for themselves. But there's no more Skid Row. I don't know where the homeless people are, but they're not on Skid Row anymore. They've removed them, and there are no more pool halls. So you can't go to the pool halls, but you're out there somewhere. And wherever you are, you think you're helpless, you think you're homeless. The only way you're going to help yourself, you got to vote. Our forefathers, our ancestors, they stood in line for miles and miles and miles just to vote. And now they want to bring things back where you have to quote the Constitution and the First Amendment and Second Amendment just to vote. You have to fight against that. You have to stand up for yourself because nobody else is going to stand up for you.
Absolutely. Trump wants you to have a passport too. Those are very expensive to get.
Absolutely. Most people don't have passports. A lot of people don't even have driver's license because it's, they had driver's license, but they got too many parking tickets and the city took their driver's license away from them. So now they don't have driver's license, but they have voter registration cards. Our politicians that are in office right now need to be held accountable. You need to do some work. You need to stop just collecting checks, stop making promises, and you need to do some work. You need to pass some legislation. And we need to do it on the state level. Look here, if we fight back on the local level, we fight back on the state level, there's nothing that the federal government can do to hold us back. And that's what we need to do. The federal government does not control us. We control ourselves. And until you take your destiny in your own hands, you will always be a slave.
You're absolutely right on that. And I wanted to ask you too on this your lawsuit. What should the governor do, Pritzker do?
I think the first thing I would like everybody to do is read the complaint. Mm-hmm. Once you read the complaint, you will see that this organization gives favoritism to white organizations, and it discriminates against Black-owned businesses and Black employees. And once you do that, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But we need to start reading. Read the complaint. The complaint is on file. It's public. It's public. The name of the complaint is Jamie Franklin and Tawana Savage versus Industrial Council of Near West Chicago, ICNC. and Allies for Community Business, A4CB. Case number 25 CV 14519 is pending in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Illinois, Eastern Division, here in Chicago, Illinois.
All right. Attorney David Neely, thank you so much for being on the case. And thank you for your words of wisdom, especially about the children and about parents. And you've just been a very great guest, and I appreciate you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
And thank you all for watching the On the Case. We'll see you next Friday.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussion. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiabonga. Senegal, Jaref. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.